Plenty of shonen intros are about a kid dreaming of being the greatest hero, right? Ichi the Witch does something way harsher. When this story opens, this kid is basically left alone on a mountaintop with a weapon, and he is expected to die once he runs out of his goods, his food. And instead, he survives and accidentally becomes the first male witch in a world where only women can use magic. If you have not picked this manga up, volume 1 and 2 are out in English, or if you're not reading Ichi the Witch on Viz Media or on Manga Plus, what are you waiting on? This is the complete story of how Ichi's violent world began, and in the next 18 minutes, we're going to break down the full intro arc that gave us the world's first and only male witch. This is your girl Mel at Mel Otaku Talk, and I promised you a season of magic, and that is what I am going to bring you at this channel. You cannot have a season of magic without Ichi the Witch. Yes, we have Witch Hat Artillery going on, but yes, Ichi the Witch is also part of the season of magic. What does the introduction arc look like? Well, we first see Ichi living on Druid Mountain, just above the village, and he's the guy who deals with the most dangerous creatures nobody else can handle, including this massive flower field guardian that's been literally kicking people to death as they try to cross the mountain. Sounds dangerous. Well, hey, it is. He takes it down, and the villagers are suddenly like, yeah, we can cross this mountain again. So you immediately understand that he's important to the people, even though he doesn't actually live amongst the villagers. The crucial thing is Ichi's code. Ichi genuinely feels thankful for life, plants, animals, everything, but he really loves hunting. Out of that, he's building this rule called death for death. If something isn't trying to kill, he doesn't kill it. If it turns murderous, then hunting it becomes fair game. That, let me tell you, I've read all the chapters that's out on Ichi, and Ichi is not a regular hunter. This dude is like, hey, look at him. He's funny. He's exciting. Like, I call him the nephew Ichi, but Ichi is slightly off his rocker. And as you follow these videos or you read the manga, you will understand why. This dude's hunt level is, I'd go hunting with him, but standing very far behind. Okay, let's jump back into it. We also see how separate he is from normal society. The adults understand that Ichi is very different from them, you know, the people that lives in the village. His world and the way of living won't ever be like theirs. So right away, you know that from the interaction with the villagers that he's a loved outsider, and they know that he's up there, useful to the village, but on his own wavelength. Now, let's talk about the abandonment in the Hunter's Code. At some point in the manga, you know, there's this flashback of Ichi getting abandoned on the mountain. And of course, he was given like a knife and some victuals to survive on, right? The victuals to survive on. He realized that his abandonment and the knife wasn't a gift for hunting. It was basically there so that, you know, he could cut his own throat once he gave up. Instead of doing that, when a wolf went to attack him, that should have literally been the end of him. But in that moment, he discovered how badly he wants to live. He kills the wolf, survives, and then slowly teaches himself how to, you know, stay alive on the mountain top. You know, if you're abandoned on the mountain, you're probably going to drink from streams, find berries that are edible, try to find the right mushrooms and not eat the bad ones, or it's going to be more like trial and error. And I'm sure some of this was trial and error for Ichi. And eventually he became like a full hunter with walls of trophies of the animals that he had taken down, including like his first wolf labeled death for death. This is where his code comes from. It's not some noble samurai line. It's a rule invented by a kid who was supposed to die alone, and he refused. The next big piece about Ichi the Witch introduction arc is there is this creature at the peak of the mountain, or near the peak of the mountain, and it's basically just beyond the flower field, and it's a massive creature. Ichi noticed that it's been sleeping in a tree. It's nothing like the animals that he's seen before or hunted. It's basically a huge creature. It's unknown to him. He suspects that it's obviously powerful, and he can tell that it would absolutely harm a human. I mean, dismantle a human if it wanted to. But of course, Ichi has his own rules and it hasn't hurt anyone yet. So he takes one look and then he kind of runs. So he's not going to touch this creature yet because this creature hasn't tried anything. You know, he does not strike first. That's kind of Ichi's code, even though he really wants to hunt it. That's his code in action. This man stands by his code. But it's clearly, this creature is clearly concerning and bothering him in terms of it being there because this creature particularly sticks out. So he starts planning for the day that this creature may wake up and begin to go on a rampage or do whatever it is this creature's going to do. So he starts to like do what a hunter does, prepare traps and snares and pits. So Ichi is thinking and running through a hunter's logic at this point. So he's preparing. He's thinking that if this thing ever harms a human, he's definitely going to hunt it. And this is important because later on, when everything explodes, what saves people isn't just like fate, it's the prep work that this kid put in. This dude took his own rules seriously and he prepared and set the battlefield in advance. Now, what Ichi thinks is just an unusual and infrequent type creature, the witch world has a name for those, and they're called MAJIKS. So, yes, this story has, and MAJIKS is again MAJIKS. They have witches, and this is a whole world. While Ichi is living his feral hunter's life on the mountain, this series starts zooming out and introducing the larger world of this story. In the setting, magic is alive, and this is going to be a flip between magic as MAGIC and the creatures or beings known as magic, MAJIKS. So I'm using magic as in magic as we know it. MAGIC, magic is alive. There are beings called MAJIKs, like a talking blob of water, bonfire, iceberg, MAJIKs. Each one has a trial, and they offer you their trial. And if you can pass their trial, you can basically acquire the magic. You don't just learn a spell, you acquire that magic itself and gain access to that magic's power. Women who hunt and acquire magics in this story are known as witches. Over time, they've cataloged thousands of magics. A big chunk of them have been acquired already, but there are still tons hidden in different places. We meet a particularly awesome character, a peerless beauty in this story very early on. We meet Discaris. She's known as the Abyssal Witch. She was sent to deal with the magic that is on Drool Mountain. Yes, the one that Ichi's preparing to hunt one day. And the witch, Money Go, yes, the Orient Witch, who handles evacuations and barriers from the city via magic mirrors, is talking with Discaris and assisting Discaris through this whole operation. Discaris is going to try to acquire this magic. That's what her job is. You know, there are air routes for flying witches. And of course, this is an established, sophisticated system and industry from the witch's perspective, or if we're looking at the world building in the story and how the system is set up for witch society. Now, the magic that is on this mountain is known as King Uroro, right? And of course, now the creature, he's basically the final boss of magics. Let's call him that. This story tells us he's been around for 1,000 years, leveling mountains, drinking rivers dry, and killing for no reason. He just does not want to be acquired by witches, but particularly by female witches. His trial sounds simple, stop my heart, but he has a twist to his particular trial. And it is basically no woman can scratch his heart or damage his heart. He has a very twist or some nuance in his trial. Like that's just how he's made. In a world where only women have a natural aptitude for magic, he designed an impossible trial for them, basically a no-go trial. Iscaris does get to the mountain, confront him, fights with him, and actually makes him feel fear for the first time in his life. But even she can't cross that line, no matter what. He outright tells her that as long as witches are women, they will never acquire him. And that's when Ichi has been like sitting back like the hunter he is, watching this play out, gathering the movements of the creature. Ichi finally steps in the middle of all of this, here, Discaris and Uroro going at it. And this mountain kid, whose only goal was death for death, sees this thing actively trying to take Discaris out. So for him, the line has been crossed. Remember, those traps he set just in case, Uroro ends up stepping in one of them, the pit snare. The whole setup, Ichi doesn't care about the magical trial. Like, at this point, he doesn't care about a trial. He doesn't even know a magic trial exists. He just wants to capture this creature and, do what he does, death for death. So he just applies his hunter's logic and his personal code to a monster that's now undeniably murderous. Uroro is confused. Like, how did he get in his trap? Looks like, this is a random human, basically, and he wants to know who Ichi is. And Ichi already knows what he said to the Scarus, but no woman can scratch his heart. And Ichi comes with a strong line. He says, I am a man. In a world that believes men literally can't use magic, he's the person who meets the condition. Uroro never thought that would matter. And because he met the condition, he acquired the magic. His whole outfit changes. He's suddenly covered in a whole nother different fit, right? Ichi's fit totally changed. And he's standing there wondering, like, what in the world just happened? While the most powerful witch on site is freaking out because the impossible just occurred in front of her. Now, since this is the introduction arc, let's take a little farther look at where the story goes. So once Ichi acquires Uroro, this becomes a whole crisis for the magic world, for the Witches Association, right? The Scarus even sticks him in a magic cage and explains that Uroro is known as the Ultra Amplification Magic. It's basically a magic that super boosts any magical effect to its maximum with no training, as long as you say, like, whatever the chant is. The only saving grace is that using Uroro knocks Ichi out for 3 days. Uroro himself is not thrilled that he's been acquired. He tries to manipulate Ichi, but listen, Ichi in his hunter's mentality cannot be manipulated. Uroro has his opinion on witches. He doesn't think that they're good people. He thinks that they're barbarians, painting MAJIKs as the true indigenous species, yes, and pitching to Ichi to kind of like, come join me. Let's hunt these witches. And Ichi is no way buying this. He reads Uroro's eyes as empty and calls him out on that. It's a neat way to show Ichi's instinct for reading hostility in lines. On top of that, his survival skills. So yes, Ichi is very good at reading everything, especially anything that can crawl, live, breathe, sway in the wind. Yes, he's good at doing that. By the end of this stretch, Discaris basically gives him a choice: become her companion so she can keep an eye on this magic he just acquired, or run and get hunted down as a rare test subject by every witch in the land. There's one more hunt that happens before they get to the capital. Ichi and Discaris actually take down another MAJIK in the mountains. Raiko, a lightning fox who kills for fun and plans to move on to the next human village. Ichi doesn't just beat Raiko with flashy spells, he hunts him like he's an animal. Scares his bait, finishes with a clean, efficient kill. The hunt quietly proves that Uroro wasn't a one-time fluke. Ichi can repeatedly apply his hunter's logic to MAJIKs, which is why by the time he reaches Natali, he's already carrying both King Uroro and Raiko as part of his toolkit. What happens next is, at this point, the story moves to Natali, the capital city, centered around the magic industry, and it has a kind of a hefty population. Magic-related jobs basically dominate the whole commerce of Natali, or basically the witch society. Ichi, who's been a mountain bumpkin basically his whole life, is suddenly walking through a glittering city full of magic. The Scares tell him flat out that he's not allowed to basically show off the magic because she doesn't want to get in any trouble at this point. Through a series of unplanned circumstances, Ichi kind of reveals himself, but along the way, there is an opportunity to meet another character. This is where we meet Kumaji, the witch cadet. He saves a letter for Kumaji. He ended up putting on some magic boots, flying, and reveal. And the Machinelle Witches Association is aware of this already. But we also meet, as part of the introduction arc, we meet Shirobadana, the analytic witch, who basically appears out of nowhere, instantly starts treating Ichi like a rare witch subject, and later vouches for him as an official witch, once she's seen him in action. So basically, they ended up in Natali, which is the capital city, going through the marketplace through a series of events. Yes, Ichi kind of reveals himself. They make it back to the Witches Association. Ichi gets registered. They test him. He uses the lightning magic that he acquired, Reiko, and he instinctively attacks the ceiling. Again, Hunter's the ability to sense like death for death. That alone tells us he's hypersensitive to being observed, judged, and that's his hunter sense. Applies it even to people behind surveillance. Yes, that's why it's not just for animals alone. He can sense death for death even when it's humans. By the time we reach chapter 6, he's been recognized internally inside of the Witch Association as the first male witch. He becomes a part of Team Discaris. He has his signature weapon, his knife, and Team Discaris is known as the Anti-Human Hater Magic Squad. And at the end of the introduction arc, they have their first mission to deal with the Hisame magic and ice shark causing frost damage in a nearby village. And this is pretty much the handoff to the next arc, and that is the introduction arc in a nutshell. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you for hanging in there. I hope you are enjoying these videos. Do not forget to check out the manga for Ichi the Witch. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and comment, and share this video. Let me know in the comment section if you're reading Ichi the Witch on Sundays or you've picked up Volume 1 and Volume 2. This particular manga does not have an anime announcement yet. There's not enough chapters. Sooner or later, maybe next year, there'll be an anime announcement, but I promise you, this is another season of MAJIK. This is another story around magic, and I will meet you at the next Ichi the Witch or my next pointed hat discussion with Witch Hat Atelier. As always, keep talking manga with me. Thanks for stopping by and watching.